Oh. Ah. So yeah, as a parent, I want my kid to not hate me, so that I can have a good life. And the
Fair
sun is
enough.
out. Is the sun is out where you are right now? Yeah. No. Oh, okay. It's Vancouver. It's always raining. Or
Yeah.
yeah.
It's cloudy with a chance of sun today.
I feel if, for example, you're a weatherman or a woman and you didn't do your homework, you didn't, you know,
Totally. They don't
you
need
can just say that, it's cloudy
yeah.
with a chance of sun.
With a
That's
chance of
it.
sun, it's going to be a temperate temperature that's on average for
Yeah,
this
there's
kind of time of year. They could do that. No problem.
you can do that. It's like my flower friend, flower, someone who sell flowers, a florist. When
My
someone
flower friend.
flower,
That
I
I
do
like
have
better,
some
actually.
friends that look like plants, but that's something else.
Me
And
too.
when someone is calling him and he say, I have a problem with my plants, and he say, do you water them enough? He said, oh yeah, I water them enough. He said, well, you maybe water them too much. And
Yeah,
when someone is saying, did you water them enough? I'm not sure. Well, you didn't water them enough. So he always had this answer, it's all good.
no
Too much or
problem.
not enough. So what do you
It's
mean?
yeah, that's gonna be too much. I bet it could be a too much situation. Oh, that's gonna be a not enough if you're already doing it. Yeah, that's great.
I I would love to do that in UX. Where should I put the button? Well, you do whatever.
Are you doing user testing?
Yeah.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Yeah, you might be getting
No, no,
bad
no.
answers from that. So
Do
you're
more.
probably doing it wrong. You do more.
Just do more. How much you test we did? Oh, I did like 100. Well, maybe that's your problem.
Maybe that's your
Too much.
problem. Like you should only do 5.
Oh no, you don't say a number because it's maybe 7. All depend. That's the
It
all
depends.
depend.
It depends on how much your participants tell you. Sometimes they just do stuff and they don't tell you anything. So you can't really tell what's going on.
Yeah. You can use that.
Chattiness.
It's the wrong participants. You didn't.
Ah, wrong
What?
participants. Exactly. Oh my god. Okay, I gotta show you this.
What it is?
My homage.
Bon matin.
Bon
Homa-
matin,
Homage to.
Montreal.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
Yeah, my friend gave this to me,
Mm.
Jean-Marc, and
What it is?
it's just a fridge magnet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh,
it's going on the fridge, and it's such a, I don't know, Quebecois thing,
Oh,
/ maybe Montreal thing. Yeah.
like bonjour. Bonjour. I don't see that often.
Yeah, you're like,
That's
what are you trying to prove? Bonjour. Come on.
You're trying to prove. And now it's on taxi doors now. There's
Yeah.
a law or best practice that you have to write bonjour on the
Well,
taxi.
there's a lot of best practices about language over there.
Guideline. It's a brand guideline for taxi, but no Uber are using it. So, a friend showed me a picture of New York, 10 years ago, and now there's no taxi. It's not yellow anymore.
Weird.
It's just Uber everywhere.
Uber everywhere. I want to see that yellow. It's cute because then, you can be, I'm walking over here, and you can get mad and you can slap the taxi, and then the taxi guy can be like, do not use that face for the thumbnail that I just did, okay?
Do not use that. Hey, we had someone sending us a different a week, not for this one, for the next one.
Yes.
So it's great. They sent full email with many information about the project, the context, the user, even a Figma link and all. Wow.
Wow.
Subscribe to this YouTube channel to be notified about the next dev of the week. smash this like button before we start work on a problem. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's time
troll us in the comments, please. I also received a dev problem of the week in my LinkedIn, which I haven't shared yet. It was just last night. Yeah, because I was like, so what's going on with that? Tell me more.
Send it my way, or I'll schedule something.
Yeah, it's going to be juicy.
So, talking about a juicy problem of the week, let's start with this one from our good friend Kimchi for Me. Ooh, spicy.
Spicy.
It is, yeah.
It is, yeah, and
I'm
delish.
white, salt and pepper is spicy.
Ooh, pepper. Okay.
Went too far, Benoit. You went too far.
Well, it wasn't too bad. It's okay.
So breadcrumbs, when there are multiple paths user can take to same page. Breadcrumbs where there are multiple paths user can take to the same page. Okay, let's read it out. I'll let you read it.
Okay. I was tasked with improving the confusing breadcrumbs on a website I'm working on. They're evaluating if they want to keep or remove breadcrumbs. This is kind of hilarious because every time breadcrumbs get difficult, they're like, maybe we should get rid of them. So I get this. Okay, the problem. Users can navigate to certain pages via a variety of methods. The hierarchy of the website isn't very clear or defined. For example, users can search for courses they want to take, home courses, Cooking 101, Chapter 1, the basics of boiling water. They can bookmark that course and access it from their learning dashboard, home dashboard. The confusion stems from the experience the user will have if they access the course from their dashboard. From the dashboard, they can click into their course Cooking 101, and the breadcrumbs will change from home dashboard to home courses Cooking 101. If the user wants to get back to their dashboard from the course they're on, there's no immediate link to get there. More confusion. It gets even murkier with weird things like mini projects. Say, for example, there's a project on how well you learned to boil that water. So that would be home courses, Cooking 101, project, boil some water. Therefore, when you visit the page for project, boil some water, from any entry point, the breadcrumb currently switches to home project boil. Ooh, okay. This is really confusing to me and not intuitive. I'm sure if this is a horrifically egregious issue, but it definitely has the feeling of jumping around the application. This is a simple example, and there are loads of entry points from other parts of the website. Your thoughts? So, oh yeah, okay. So we need a problem statement. Then I'm quizzing you.
You're quizzing me?
Okay. Yeah.
So, probably waiting something. I, as a user as a learner.
Oh, that's a bit much. That's too much. So this is a learning platform, so I just put learner, but we can adjust it. Absolutely.
Learning platform?
They said
yeah, it's a course. Yeah.
Courses, yeah.
As a student.
And they have their own dashboard.
Of a cooking school. Okay, so as a student of a cooking school, that's kind of okay. I want to, and now is it okay? There's something about navigation here. I think it's not to get to a page, whatever it is. I want to. It's about breadcrumb now. Okay, let's talk about breadcrumb. So I want to know where I am. Oh, where? Oh, okay.
Oh,
Hmm. It wouldn't be a problem here. So the user is creating a bunch of projects, maybe navigating through a couple of references, recipes, things like that. They're creating a project, creating stuff for them. It's a note-taking app, note-taking tool. Also at the same time, you can create a project. Good. So they are using a platform to learn, take some notes, all of this. But the problem is navigating through that can be cumbersome because sometimes, okay. So I want to know where my things are. Well, it's not a problem. It's not where I think my things are. I want to go back. Okay. So it's more about I'm somewhere. I want to trace my step back to somewhere else. So if I'm, for example, I'm boiling water. Um,
I think, I mean, we could actually simplify it a little bit more. We could say, um, I want to understand where I am so I can fluidly navigate the site or move from thing to thing in the site
yeah, and I'm not sure
with
it's where
ease or
where I
something.
am. It's where things are,
It's where
so I
things
can.
are and where I am because we've got the breadcrumb
It's both. Huh?
sitch.
It's
Yeah,
both. That's the
because
thing with
there's
this breadcrumb problem is it's not just what I did. It's where this thing where it
is
is at the same time. So that's why I'm trying. I'm finding a problem, finding a problem statement. It's more and it's two things in once. Where I am, but where's the source? Where this thing belong at the
the
same time.
person. Yeah, and the person also says that the website that they're on, um, the hierarchy of the website isn't very clear or defined. So
Yeah.
that tells me navigation drama, or like you're having some navigation issues. You're possibly overusing breadcrumbs to compensate um, in that situation. But it is about overall like navigation and orientation in the
I can
in the site, right?
orient myself better. So that means that this system is this navigation is not chaotic, but it's not easy to understand.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit like a mall, map that you have. You're here, you want to go there, but that's just a classic breadcrumb.
Yeah.
It's a classic breadcrumb. Now maybe a shop just is moving places at the same time. Okay. No one want to know where I am while knowing who's this, what this page belong to, what. No, it's not well said, but the goal is here. So I want to know where I am while knowing something like that. It's feel weak when we're writing right now. Don't like it. I don't know why.
Okay, let me look. Let me just get in there.
Yeah.
Hmm. Oh, that sucks too.
Fluidly. Don't the
Okay. Okay, I kind of went in another direction. As a student of a cooking school, I want to navigate the learning site so that I can access the materials I want and learn specific things.
I want and the material I created at the same time. This is what I feel.
I don't think they create projects. I think they're just do projects. The course they're on. Well, it's unclear, but it looks like Project Boil Some Water is part of Baking 101 and it's part of Cooking 101.
What I want to add is
oh yeah.
The thing here is
Yeah.
I don't know where things are. So yeah, that's a real problem because it's a mess.
Yeah.
I'm creating stuff, but I'm not sure where they are. But I need to be able to navigate them, efficiently.
Regardless of where they are, right? Like,
exactly.
Really, I think that's a super good point because, like, we always assume when we're doing navigation that people are going to, like, essentially give a crap about where stuff is on your site. It's like they don't care about, like, learning your site. It's not like nobody woke up in the morning and said, oh, I want to learn the information architecture of pencilandpaper.io. That's going to just, oh man, I'm going to feel good after that, except me. I'm the only person maybe that's ever thought that in their life. So even if I'm not sure exactly where everything is, yeah, I think that's cool.
Yeah.
So so why don't we get into some of our thoughts?
Can I add something here? When everything is or where I was before? No, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, let's get into that as we dig in.
Yeah, it's not just where things are, but feel like what the path I took, and breadcrumbs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Time.
Yeah.
I feel like we're asking a lot to breadcrumbs right now. So it's not only where things are, but the path I took. That's one. Are we asking too much from the breadcrumb? There's two type of breadcrumb here, and if you read our article, there's
yes.
So this is what type of breadcrumb it is? I have to.
Yeah, I'm opening it up right now.
You opening it?
Yeah.
It's maybe an application breadcrumb. It's maybe a classic path. No, that's the classic. It's just the path. And also there are a cube breadcrumb type, I think. Right.
Yep. So we've got in our article on breadcrumbs, types of breadcrumbs: location-based, path-based, attribute breadcrumbs, application breadcrumbs. So with the path-based breadcrumbs, they show the user's dynamic path they took to get to the content. Yeah. And location-based breadcrumbs are a reflection of the hierarchy of the website. So it seems, based on the description, that we're kind of doing a flip-flop between both of those. And so I think it's probably worth doing a bit of a mental experiment to think about the why you use each type of these breadcrumbs in the first place.
Let me share this link to our channel chats, whatever. Good. So yeah.
So I've
Oh,
just popped
so
this in
yeah.
here, little thumbnail.
Okay, so let's look at the problem. More confusion. I want to get back to their dashboard from the course. Dashboard home. So there's home dashboard. Okay.
I think
Hmm.
at this stage it might actually just be worth thinking a little bit about just the architecture of how this website works. Just like a initial path.
Good call. So we have projects
Oh yeah,
of
projects.
courses. Oh, okay. We have a dashboard. Dashboard, it's maybe not the home, for what I understand. Um, there's module inside a course, maybe.
And there's projects. And then there's like the specific project. So the interesting thing about this particular case is that it looks like there's an and situation. So you can actually think. I don't know if it's in a module or whatever.
No, exactly.
But it's yeah. So it's actually, a course in a way is actually potentially an index that's a collection of multiple pieces of your overall like website or product.
Yeah.
So within a course, you have projects, modules, maybe examples, maybe blah, whatever, n number of things. So the course itself can be thought of, I think, as like a collection or a index of multiple things.
The course or the projects?
Projects, I'm not sure if there's more than one thing within like a project, but a project feels like like a very granular, like little entity, and then a course is like a more of a collection of small things and big things. Because what the person when I actually looked at this the second time, I kind of realized this is super similar to some of the architecture conversations we've had about future pnp.io. Wink, wink. So there's like this micro skill of boil water, right? But you could actually take that in cooking 101 or baking 101. So this micro skill is actually useful for a lot of like beginners. So, and we were talking about micro skills, right? So
that's why I put references.
It's reusable. Yeah.
So, that's interesting. So you're creating your own project. I want to, bake a cake, whatever. And now, bake a cake. I had a couple of things I had to do. Let me maybe, okay. And I can refer to that. They are part of a project. No, they are reference to the project. But this micro scale is part of a course and a module, even, I would say. Okay, interesting. So when you look at the information architecture, where's the need to switch the breadcrumb to project boiling water, for example? So here, what they have in mind right now, I'll write something, project boiling water. That's the as is, I would say. And it's not a project, it's a course module, course boiling water.
And then there's like, baking 101. 101.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they had baking 101 and then boiling water, and then they had cooking 101 and then boiling water.
Oh, that you're right. So this micro scale have a lot of parents, for what I see, right?
Yeah, it's reused a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's reused, and it could be reused in, let's say,
I don't know. It could be like
one,
featured fun things.
two.
Boiling water.
Could be that exactly. Exactly. So it could be reused in baking, in cooking, in a micro lesson, or right now in the project, for example.
Yeah. Yeah.
Projects. Let's just make it better here. Projects, and project X, whatever. Okay. This is, yeah, I do understand now why it could be confusing, because boiling water is everywhere, and we want one place, one reference. We don't want to duplicate the content. Blah 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 blah. Good.
Yeah.
Still,
So
still, for what I understand, all the micro skills belong to courses in general, right?
I don't know. That's a mystery,
That's a
because
mystery.
these projects slash micro skills things, you could probably do a collection of those just for some fundamentals, like,
Mm,
just things that you're missing weirdly. Like
mm,
you don't have you suck at chopping onions, but you can chop other stuff, right? So
mm,
you're like, yeah, I'm gonna do this onion one just because like this is so annoying, stopping me from cooking, whatever.
mm,
So I think it would probably be safe to assume that there's a project's index page where like things live that you could like choose from, or favorite and add to your own dashboard or something like that. So I think with these learning platforms, there's usually a little bit of like curation, and then there's some sort of like searching and discovery of new things in there too. Um,
So are you saying that those micro skills or references, whatever, exist somewhere, and we just invented the problem by with the breadcrumb in a way?
Kind of, yeah. Like
Mm,
what I'm curious about is, so like when we talk in our article on breadcrumbs, we talk about attribute breadcrumbs being, and and kind of keeping the context of where you've been as a
mm,
user as you go through a rabbit hole, being more of you know more useful in the sense of, do you really need that history to be like to jog your memory on something?
mm, yeah.
um So it could be argued either way, probably, for this, that like, oh, I started boiling water because I was taking baking 101, and that like got me into boiling water. And like actually reflect the path, that maybe that is useful. Um, but
Mm,
because it helps you get back on track, which is back to baking 101. So it's not reflecting the actual site's hierarchy. It's reflecting like your path to get there. Um, because there's not a separate instance of boiling water just for baking or just for cooking. That's what we're assuming. They're getting reused.
that's what I'm assuming.
So there's nothing special or unique about it in either of those contexts, except for the fact that you were looking to do your cooking 101.
Mm.
Um,
Or your project, or whatever.
So,
Mm,
then let's maybe, because they talk about like it kind of flipping back to showing site hierarchy at a couple of weird points. Um, so they're talking about the point where you're actually starting from your dashboard, and then you're going into one of these things and it shows dashboard as an attribute breadcrumb or path-based breadcrumb.
mhm.
Um, So there you're like,
Location break from more, for what I understand. Dashboard to, oh no, sorry.
well, they have a dashboard breadcrumb that's like, well, I guess it's actually still path based because you had to click on something to get to dashboard because
Yeah.
it's not a default thing. Um, but basically it kind of gets weird at this point where you actually dive into something. So dashboard as a starting point or an origin of
Mhm.
your breadcrumb, is that useful? um Maybe it is still useful. I don't know. But
Maybe
like, so
useful
what's
is
happening is the flip, right? Because you're going from dashboard and then it's flipping into the site hierarchy. That's what's
well, the
psyching
flip
this person out.
is as confusing when you start from home project and you flip to boil some water. Also, yeah, the flipping is confusing. I understand what you mean. So
Yeah.
you're starting with a location breadcrumb, and then no, you're starting with a path breadcrumb and switching to a location breadcrumb.
Yeah.
Um,
And like, do you
yeah.
need, my question would be like, do you need two levels of breadcrumb when you go to dashboard? Like, often if you just have these two levels, it's, I don't know, is it that useful to start with anything on dashboard? Do you need to actually have breadcrumbs on every single page no matter what? um I don't know what the answer is, but it just, I'm like, I want to kind of poke at that.
Well, if you let's go back to basic. Maybe we have two kind of breadcrumb, location and path, for what I understand. So could we have two breadcrumbs? I know it's maybe a stupid question, but let's start with stupid question first. Could we give the user two kind of information to navigate this? So this is where this thing is. This is the path you took. Is that useful? I don't know. I'm not an engineer.
Well, I think that it's a useful question if we frame it around less about having like two kinds of breadcrumbs and frame it around, is it useful to show the other places that this thing exists when you're inside of the thing? Does that make sense? Like,
Well, it's
whatever
as
else it's
important.
associated with, because this is, so we wouldn't necessarily use breadcrumbs to do that. Or like, I immediately thought like one stacked on top of the other or something, which would be crazy. But um,
This boiling water belong to someone or to a page. For what I understand, they need to make this choice. So I would see is as a must-have to show where that belong to.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
but
like this is a part of projects. Um, you can find more micro skills
scales.
on the projects page,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then you get to the projects page, and you're like, oh,
So let's say we make the decision to keep the breadcrumb just as a location breadcrumb. Breadcrumb is just about where things are. I never seen, by the way, a good breadcrumbs that is an hybrid between both. It's just you embrace location breadcrumb, or you embrace the Batman.
mm-hmm,
You don't do both. You sometimes do a pad breadcrumb, and you go into information or detail of this page, and it's giving you know a semantic of this page or this resources somewhere.
yeah, I think that's a super good assumption to have as like core, right? It's, you got to choose.
You gotta
You
choose.
got to go location or path, and that's
Yeah,
the thing.
and and if it's for students, and it's this mindset of I'm bringing knowledge from all over the place to do my own thing. You know,
Hmm.
uh, the path feel more important than the location. It's you're a student. You're going to the library, getting a couple of books to learn about something, and you gather books. And this book is leading you to other books and other books, and then you have your answer. That's more important than where's the book is or it should be in the on the shelf. It's more, your path of, how you build your knowledge. To, it's more important, I think, than I'll know where to find the book if I need it again. You know, as a student, as I'm learning, it's chaotic. I want to know what's my journey, what's the path I took to get there, so I can retrace it if I made a mistake, or if I need to change something, or if my assumption was bad, or blah blah blah. If I didn't need to boil the water, but I need to, distill the water, whatever it is. I need
Mm-hmm.
to. So for me, for this kind of tool, location is useful after the fact. You know, not when I'm learning. When I'm learning, it's I don't know where I'm going. So I need to be able to trace back the thing I did. Um, what do you think?
Well, I think it depends on how deep the hierarchy goes
Hmm.
in a sense, because I totally agree that especially if you're like researching or you're getting really in depth into a topic, um, knowing where like your thoughts came from and where you're going and like walking back, finding out, oh, this was from a search, and like this is what I was searching. Let me go back to that search and like tweak it and then go forward again. Um, that's especially useful in that case. I just don't know how deep it goes in this kind of situation. How much,
Does it matter?
like,
Doesn't matter.
I think it matters. Yeah.
When you say deep, you think about location or path? Because yeah, path can be,
Path is what I was
path.
thinking.
Okay, path.
Keep looking back at it. Yeah.
But
Um,
but but right now it's more. It's less about the path you took to get to this page.
yes,
It's
I think
it's
it's
less
less about
about
that.
that. It's more about you're creating something. You're creating stuff. And huh, huh.
And in terms of like, I'd also wonder how much the over reliance on breadcrumbs is happening for the
Hmm.
overall navigation. Because if you're actually in a course, if you're in Baking 101, you should
Hmm.
really be in Baking 101 in a sense. Like, it shouldn't
Hmm.
be necessarily a like a superficial thing that you're in. You should really, in terms of the way the UI behaves, it should be like, you're here, stay here, look at the things in here. It shouldn't just rely on breadcrumbs, I don't think, to send you through that whole thing. Because then
Yeah.
you're like, okay, get me back to cooking 101 again to do the next thing. Like, if that's how the nav works, then that's not um, progressing people through a learning journey, right? I'm making a lot of assumptions in saying that,
Yeah. There's a little assumption here.
but
So I'm learning something, whatever it is. Um, I'm referencing to this micro scale. What's the need of doing that? Because I should know how to boil water if I took the course. I know it. So when I'm creating a project, it's maybe just a list of things I have to do. And yeah, you're right. Because for example, I took the course of how to boil water. Good, it's good. When I'm creating a project, I know that I need to boil the water. So I have this project somewhere. I know I have to do this. So if I'm clicking on it, the intent is I don't remember how I did it. And if I don't remember how I did it, I'll going back to the course of baking. So location is kind of crucial. Do the breadcrumb need to follow, this path now that I'm coming from project? No, 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 because you're where you learn the skills is more important because you want to get back to this information. And then when it's
mhm.
you refresh memory, you're going back to project. So,
Yeah.
but that's a classic navigation project. Oh, I'm going to, learn more about this subject. Great. Back. I'm going to project. So why the breadcrumb need to inform you of this new path? Why? There's no real need.
There's no, yeah, I think so too. And like the other thing is that when you have things that are reused um, across multiple body like objects or like index pages, um, the place that it lives in the database, it doesn't always matter. So like you might be like, it's weird that you have like boiling water. It's the same thing in baking 101 and cooking one. It's not really. It's like it's just a collection of things. And it's okay for it to like look like it lives in baking 101 when it doesn't like officially live there. You know what I mean?
Go on with that. Dig a little.
Well, this is like in terms of the primary versus secondary information, let's
Yeah.
say, like just the hierarchy of like what's important to tell people.
Mm,
It's more important that I'm boiling water as a part of my cooking 101
yeah.
than it is that, boiling water also lives in this projects page where all of the projects are. Like
It is. Yeah.
it's secondary information. Not that it doesn't need to exist, but it doesn't need to, we don't need to confuse ourselves by being like, but it also actually literally is here. That's not always what's important. That's all I'm saying. So, like, that project's context is maybe secondary information that could be represented in other ways, and it can still be included, but it's not like really key. It's just that we care about it because we made the data architecture, um, if that makes sense. It's just like a
Uh,
mindset sort of thing I'm saying.
you're switching. Again, it makes sense. You're switching back to a path more than location. Um, and it's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I am.
And
But
it's okay. But
but
let's say
if you think
you're.
about the location,
uh,
you can think about the location differently, sort of too.
yeah.
Weird. This is why it's such a brain melt with the frickin' breadcrumbs. This is why people are like, get rid of them
Exactly.
because
Absolutely.
they do melt your brain. Because like, is it? Here's my question for you: is boiling water in baking 101?
No. It's an. um. So I'm a teacher. Um. I have to prepare a course for people to bake a cake. I'm baking a cake. Okay, great. To bake a cake, there's a couple of skills I need to make sure that the student have, like how to boil water, how to clean dishes, how to know the difference between sugar and salt, things like that. So how do I start telling them or teaching them this basic stuff? It's part of a moment where I say, okay, guys, sit down, I'll tell you the story about how to boil water, and then now that we'll do something else. We'll learn about pastries and baking a cake. So feel like boiling water is part of something. It belongs to something, and the teacher just take it, it give it, and then once you have basic understanding of a couple of subject, now they are doing something else and say, you remember what I told you about washing dishes or difference between salt and sugar and water, use that. So I think it's part of one module or lesson or course, but the course is sometimes 101. It's and they need to take this, they will take decision of 101. It's part of this. It's part of what you need to learn to start baking a cake. It belongs to something. And maybe as a student, I need this index somewhere of all the things I need to know, so I can. It's a little bit like, but let's take a UX designer type of job. Um, do this, but I need to know how to wireframe. What do you mean by wireframe? Let's go back to 101, all the methods that we need to use as a UX designer. So I will maybe have a course about methods somewhere, belong to that. So it has to belong to a parent. And it's kind of useful because I have an index of every basic thing I need to learn how to.
Yeah.
So,
So
so,
it can
so if
still
I've
be a
learned it
location.
before, yeah, sorry,
Location. It still is. If you
location,
define it as part of it, then it is still a location breadcrumb.
still location. So what's the why it's that problem to switch a breadcrumb when I'm referring to boiling water? It's not a problem. We're inventing a problem for what I see. You know, you're creating a project, you're creating a recipe, and now you need to boil water. Water. Well, boiling water, you know it's part of something else. Why should you change breadcrumb? So so maybe we're mixing uh, projects where you're diverging in a project. You're creating a variant of a project. So you're creating a recipe, and okay, now you want to create a different kind of recipe based on this previous recipe. This is where, yeah, path is kind of important. Um, so all depend of the task. A course is a linear task. You're taking a course and doing A, B, C, D, E, so you have this knowledge at the end. A project switch to another type of breadcrumb, for what I understand. A project is something you do, and a course is very article, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I would see project as an application type of breadcrumb more than anything, and location based for all the basic stuff that you need. So dashboard, for example, dashboard is something you create. Maybe you
It's an index
customize.
page.
Hmm?
Maybe it's like favorited or like recent stuff, or
Exactly.
you make it.
You make it. So it's okay to switch from dashboard to cooking 101. There's no problem here
Yeah.
because you're referring to something in cooking 101.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So location based would tell you that you now just go into courses, cooking 101, blah.
So this example, this Mercure with things like mini project, course 101, whatever. It's not a mini project, is it? No. It's when a project is boil some water. You're creating a project, or you're actually doing something. Now you're consuming content and should belong to somewhere. So I think they didn't made a decision,
Mm.
and it's kind of hard to ask someone who what this page belonged to. But that's the role of an information architect or someone who's building uh, knowledge base. You have to make this decision of where it is, where it belongs to, and
Yeah,
that's
and I think you're totally right. And I think when it comes to path based in general, it's something that you're selective about,
mm-hmm,
and you have a lot of intentionality on why you sustain the context that you sustain.
exactly.
So, yeah, so like it doesn't necessarily have to be the entire website, every single experience in it,
No,
but
no,
where it does have utility is where you should use it. So like I think we
exactly.
always think about consistency as like it just has to be the same. It just has to be the same mental model. And when things are flipping and flopping all around, for sure,
Mm.
it really depends on a lot of things. But that because location or path-based breadcrumbs, they can be so powerful and so cool. doesn't mean they need to be throughout your whole experience.
Well, you said consistency and mental models. The same consistent approach for the same mental model. If you have a different mental
Hmm.
model, you have another consistency. You have something else. You have something new. Maybe you're applying something else. Walking and driving, two mental models using the same roads, but
Yes.
I'm not using the same UI in a way. I'm not approaching the road the same way.
Hmm.
So now the question would be, okay, I'm starting with location-based breadcrumb. How do we convey to the user that we're switching to a path breadcrumb? That's more a UI. Great question. We could end on how we show them that you're switching to a different context of use,
Hmm.
from
Oh, that
project
sounds
to cooking. I feel
that sounds hard.
so. Let's do an as is of just a classic breadcrumb. I'll put some chevrons, yeah, here, and some links. Home, I'll say parent and child. That's our classic, I don't know, location breadcrumb. Let's make it.
I don't think I'm going to be able to keep up with this with this abstraction. But you know what?
Okay.
I'm going to try. I'm going to try, bud.
Uh, okay. I don't know. Well, I just want to visualize it. Maybe that's more useful for people. So that's the classic location-based Scrum for this cooking 101 boiling water. That is, location breadcrumb. So that's where we're starting with, and we can even, for fun, have a home somewhere and say, okay, that's your home, and your home is at one place. You have an address somewhere, and the government know where to mail it. That's kind of important. What you do, where you work, that's something else. Okay, that's location based. Let's say that's for how to learn how to boil water. I do love this example. So you're
Yeah.
in a window where you have this somewhere. Can I put it back? Yeah. Okay. Now you're doing projects. You're doing your own stuff. You're creating stuff. Now you're learning stuff. So you do have a home somewhere. Okay. I feel like you're creating your sorry. Let me select something. Oh well. Quick thing. Give me a moment. Oh, it's not copy pasting. Stuff.
Maybe it's not in the frame.
I have to move it back to the frame.
I don't know. Sometimes there's weird frame stuff
Yeah.
with frames.
So parent, okay, parent project. Let's do that project, and um, and child projects. That well named. Anyway, so it's location based. A project is under a project or under the task or all projects or something like yeah, or better, all projects, parent projects, or just project. Okay, good. Now this is where it can confuse people because in the project it can include a couple of things. So let's say I'm in this project where in this project X, I have a task or something that is boiling water. Okay, how to make a difference between this? So if we keep the chevron, for example, we'll say that, okay, boiling water is part of project X, but it's not. So we could just switch to another icon, or just say, project X, now we're in boiling water and we don't, yeah, boiling water. Like that. So boiling water is in project X, but we're not saying that boiling water is powering this project X somewhere else, you know. So that for me would be enough to convey this information that, oh, breadcrumb is
Oh,
behaving differently now. Uh, what does that mean? Why do I have, two dots? Well, maybe because boiling water is not exactly under project X, because we already stated that this keyword chevron is a location based. So, yeah. And you made a decision that part of your breadcrumb is location based, and now it's changed. What do you think? Am I crazy here? I'm sure I'm crazy, but I don't know. I want to know what's the what we're crazy.
yeah. I'm just trying to figure out. I'm just trying to
Just
interpret it.
breadcrumb, but that's why
Correct.
there's no one left in the live right now. No one.
They're just like, I'm out.
I'm out. I'm out. And we could, for fun, say it's part of course 101, and this is linked, maybe, course 101. I don't know. I'm just writing something this week so we can argue and.
Yeah. Okay, and then I'm just gonna. I need a little bit more. Stuff.
Well, you're right.
Like.
Yeah. You're furiously typing.
I am. It's so loud. I know.
Oh. Well, I would not display it, but in info, I would do it a little bit like this, if it's that important, and I will put a tooltip, something like that, because it's not important.
Yeah, either.
I don't care about that right now. You know.
Yeah, it's secondary for sure. Secondary information. Exactly. So we would take it out of here. I think.
That's a good question.
Well, because if it's multiple things, you can't really scale this situation.
Well, you're right now. I mean, but it's not part of the title. It's part of the breadcrumb. This more. Now. Well, you could be just because I'm in I don't know, I'm just trying something. I'm in the breadcrumb, so it's a part of navigation. So I'm going in this navigation element to know where it is, not in the title. Why should I go to the title? What do you think? You're silent.
Yeah, I'm just thinking. It feels weird to me to have it in the.
It's weird. I'm just trying to be consistent about if it's around. It's a navigation thing to know where it is. No, it's not. It is.
It's not really. Well.
No, it's not. It's a reference to something.
It's a FYI. It's like secondary information, metadata.
Yeah, it's metadata.
You could say.
It shouldn't be part of navigation, but part of the detail of the page. You're right. I'm wrong. Yeah.
Oh yes, I got one right this week. Yes. Yay.
I don't know what it is.
Finally, it's only midday Friday.
It's true. It's the metadata of this page, so it doesn't belong to navigation. It's part of the titling of the page. You're right.
Or if there was, I don't know, description or something.
And would we, even better, could we have the breadcrumb in the tooltip? Uh,
What?
just say no.
Are you just trying to melt my brain?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, it's already melted again because of the whole. Whoa, that's so weird. Your text didn't show up.
No, I'm removing it. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Oh
What
yeah,
do you
like
want?
you could get to it. Essentially, you could.
Yeah.
I would describe it and hyperlink it. That's kind of
Oh, sure. Yeah. Oh, I see what you mean. But
like
why not using being consistent now, saying that it's part of courses cooking 101. I don't know how to hyperlink it right now.
yeah, they don't do that.
No, keep the context. What do you think? Because the context could be quite long. How could you do a sentence about it? So maybe a tooltip is not the right element now.
Yeah, I mean, I would almost like in terms of the hierarchy of it, I would without knowing a lot about the page itself, I would be like, okay, the hierarchy or like the priority for me would be describe the section. Like, what is boiling water? This is going to teach you to blah, blah, blah. Oh, isn't that cool? And then this is,
I think it's better. You're right. I don't know why we should hide it because it's kind of important. It's really important.
well, if you want, because it is like secondary. Yeah, it is, it could be really cool to see, especially if all of those like micro skills are separate. Um, then you'd be like, oh cool, cooking 101, I didn't know about that. Or like baking 101, or oh my god, I need this skill for a lot of stuff, I really should just do it.
It's better. It's
Could
better.
be
It's way
interesting.
better. I don't. It's adding stuff for no reason at all.
So Project X, you're suggesting like the user created Project X and they added boiling water to it?
Or
Or
yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna call it like my fundamentals or something. How does that work? Is that okay? That makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
My
Yeah.
fundamental. Boiling water. Okay, so you're like collecting these things. Okay, I'm with you. Do you need an energy bar?
No, I'm thinking. I'm thinking.
Okay.
No, that's. I find it. I love when we spend how much time? Maybe an hour on this, and the problem was just to add two dots. I kind of love that. I kind of love when design, you know, reveal itself to some simplicity like that. It's a lot of thought beyond that, and just makes sense. You know, make the intent. Make this decision about what kind of experience you want to give to your user, and create this language around how they navigate, and that's it. And the navigation in this language is English. It's just use plain English to tell them this is part of that. This is I. I don't know how to
Yes,
explain how,
exactly. I
the
think
simplicity of this solution.
that's a really good point because, like, I think um, with UI we have so many tools that we can actually use to get the same result or to achieve a thing, and we get a little bit hung up on a specific UI like convention, and we make it do too much stuff, or we forget that we have other things to use, right? Like we can just like write it in text is a thing. And like we a lot of different products, especially in the enterprise world, they like overuse something. Like they get addicted to modal windows. They get addicted to errors. They get addicted to making new pages, new table views, new whatever the case is, right? So it makes me think about that, and like when we take a step back to be like, what is a breadcrumb supposed to do? What is the page hierarchy, or what is the page itself supposed to do? It's interesting.
This is the geeky thing I love about these. I feel I'm alone sometimes. Yeah, it's like that. And when you show that to people, will say, "That's it. You're billing
Yeah.
me for 2 hours just with that." But that's really, well, the simplicity is hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
So let's summarize this problem. I'll leave you through that.
Oh God. All right. I'm rolling up my sleeves. All right. Kimchi, for me, what is up? You got problems. They are breadcrumb related. Let's get into it. So, breadcrumbs, when there are multiple paths users can take to the same page. So, the problem that they're dealing with here is around confusing breadcrumbs. So we've got confusing breadcrumbs. They're causing drama, even to the point where maybe we're going to get rid of them entirely. So to kind of summarize, they have a learning website, and this website has courses like Cooking 101, Chapter 1, Basics of Boiling Water. Okay, so this Basics of Boiling Water, it actually can live in Baking 101 as well as Cooking 101. So we have this idea that these things can sort of live in multiple places. The confusion part of this whole equation is coming up because from different points within the app, like the dashboard, for example, when you go into Cooking 101, it then switches to say, basically switches between a path-based breadcrumb to a location-based breadcrumb. So we have this idea that's happening where, or confusion that's happening where it's like, oh, we need to show exactly where you came from, but then it flips. And so we just have some weirdness and some logical issues that are coming up. Anything else to add? No. Okay. So naturally, we started with the problem statement. As a student at a cooking school / SMS or LMS, I want to be able to navigate the learning site and access the materials I want to learn, even if I'm not sure where everything is. Users don't care about your website architecture. Sorry. So, zingers. Please put a sound effect, zing, in there in the edit, please. So we talked about our assumptions, our rationale, and our approach. Not only it's kind of not only where things are, but the path that I took. We had this feeling: are we asking too much from these breadcrumbs? Are we getting them to do sort of a lot? We identified and named what's happening, which is we're using a mix of path-based and location-based breadcrumbs. We referenced our amazing breadcrumbs UX design best practices article. And we just kind of thought a little bit more about the actual architecture that's at play here. So what's sort of happening that we can see from the description is that we've got courses. Those courses have modules that might include something called boiling water. That micro skill could also be present in multiple different courses. So there's this idea that we have of around, okay, maybe in this project section or micro skill section, whatever you want to call it, there's multiple things like this: boiling water, making toast, cutting onions, whatever it is. And it's reused. So we made this decision around, or we asked this kind of fundamental question: does boiling water, is it contained in Cooking 101? Does it belong to Cooking 101? Does it belong to Baking 101? And we decided, yes, it does. We also kind of coming into this, solving this problem and talking it through, we're like, okay, we kind of got to choose. We can't do a flip between these types of breadcrumbs without having a really strong signifier or rationale on why we do it. If we're doing path based breadcrumbs following where you came from, we need to do that when there's a really good reason why sustaining that context actually tells you something. It tells you what you were thinking, it tells you where you were, it tells you where you might want to branch off to next in discovering things. So when we're doing that, it's important to have really good rationale as to when you do that. So we whipped up some breadcrumb logic. So what we're suggesting, even from the dashboard, we actually reflect this location-based breadcrumb approach because it doesn't really matter that you came from the dashboard. It doesn't impact what you access or how you access it. So that's a location-based breadcrumb. It may be the case that there are some really good reasons to use a path-based breadcrumb in the project's scenario. So we just kind of played with how we would potentially do that. So the kind of big part of this is that we not only we explain the path that you went to get to boiling water, but we also give you a little bit of metadata about where else this thing is contained. So it's just kind of an FYI. It can help you figure out how this information is all sort of grouped together. And we use just a simple technique of using a colon at the end of our breadcrumb to show that this is indeed a path-based breadcrumb. We melted our brains.
It's so simple. It's so simple. It's a bite-sized solution for an appetizing navigation. Wow. It's the best invention since sliced bread. No, it's not. By the way, it's not true. Sliced bread, there are a couple of inventions before that, like the wheel.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep, there are. And what are these breadcrumbs? Toast for ants?
What? It exists for real? No. Okay. It's a bite-sized solution. I kind of love this. It's wonderful. But that means you have to make the decision of what type of breadcrumb you want and what kind of well, it's
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for this. The next moment of the week we'll have next week is someone that sent something. So if you want us to geek around for an hour around one character in the breadcrumb, please send it to us. We'll play with it. Join us next time. Also, if you want to be a guest, leave a comment, follow us on Twitter, please subscribe. We have a great newsletter, a lot of things coming soon, and again, Kira, this Friday afternoon, love it, and that's how every week should end. Thank you.